Welcome to Book of the Mouse Club, Episode 12, Thursday, October 11th, 2018.
Morning, monsieur.
Where are you off to?
The bookshop. I just finished the most wonderful story about a beanstalk and an ogre and...
That's nice. Marie! The baguettes! Hurry up!
I'm sorry, but how can one possibly pay attention to a book with no pictures in it?
My dear child, there are a great many good books in this world without pictures.
I almost bounced clear out of the book. Some bouncing, huh?
Come home or make myself known.
Jane Thaddeus Turtle, Esquire. Have you never met him? You will find his story in this delightful little book, The Wind and the Willows.
I've come to return the book I borrowed.
Finished already?
Oh, I couldn't put it down. Have you got anything new?
Hello, Salem. My name's Courtney. What's yours?
Hey, Courtney, it's Emily. And I have just one thing to say about today's episode, and that's hello. I want my book. Bonjour. Je veux mon livre.
Yes. Well, we have a book for you today, and its author joining us. In the spirit of Halloween, we read Hocus Pocus in Focus, the Thinking Fan's Guide to Disney's Halloween classic. This book isn't afraid to address Freud, feminism, and fairy tale tropes in the classic family film. In addition to a deep dive and critical analysis of the film through different lenses, there's a whole lot of history and more bonus features than Hocus Pocus's initial DVD release. The book was written by the man at the heart of the Disney podcast universe, Aaron Wallace. Welcome back to the show, Aaron.
Thank you, and happy Halloween. I should say thank you, Courtney, for that marvelous introduction.
Yes, perfect. There's just start counting the references now.
Yeah, you two are going to be the pros at dropping these lines. I was saying, listeners, before we recorded that I had to do my studying for this podcast because Courtney and Aaron are quite the super fans.
You can't see it, but I'm wearing my Hocus Pocus original villain spectacular shirt with a Hocus Pocus framed poster behind me. So we're in the zone.
We're all on Skype video, so I can see the poster and the T-shirt, and it's just getting me in the right mood.
Verified.
Yeah. The color scheme is there. It's all very autumnal.
All right, so Hocus Pocus, huge this time of year. In Disney, it started in August, so it's just growing in popularity year after year at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. But Aaron, can you take a moment to describe your personal experiences with the film, your connection with this movie?
It is almost an entire lifetime. The film was released in 1993. I would have been about 7-8 years old. And I can remember the marketing campaign leading up to the film, which I don't know that it was aggressive, but I remember being aware of the movie, going to see it. I was very into Halloween and witches as a kid to begin with, and so was just completely obsessed with it from the get-go. Then, of course, as soon as there was a VHS release, it was a staple for me and for my family, particularly during Halloween. I mean, just watching it again and again my whole life. And was not really aware as a kid that it wasn't a popular movie. I think to my generation it was, and that's all that matters to you when you're a kid. And so, yeah, it's just been a whole ride of fandom for many years.
What about you, Courtney? Because you're also a big fan.
Yeah, so I came to it a little later, probably about 1996, and we used to always stay at Disney's old Key West resort when I was a kid, and they had one of the specials of the one-bedroom suite was there was a VHS player, and you could rent movies for free. And since we always went in September, almost in that Halloween spirit, I don't know if I picked it from the VHS rack or if my parents did, but I remember watching it and loving it. And we went back the next year in 1997. I was like, I have to watch the witch movie. Never forgot about it, but didn't own it on VHS. And I remember when DVD players came out, my dad took us to Best Buy and we each got to pick a DVD, and I freaked out because I saw Hocus Pocus on the shelf and I was like, that was the movie I loved from Walt Disney World. And so that was my DVD pick. Probably wasn't even around Halloween time, but I was so excited to revisit the movie and watched it year after year. And so I think I was probably like on that early adopter range, like not everybody was into it. If I mentioned it at school, some people might get it, but now certainly with ABC Family and then Freeform showing it over and over, it became a big staple of my college years. My best friend Betsy and I'm pretty sure in our apartment in college, we'd watch it like every night in October, just even if it wasn't on TV, we'd put it on. Great background while we do our homework. So I'm so excited how much it's grown in popularity over the past few years. And like I basically died when I saw it at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party because it is so well done.
The first time I saw it, Mickey's Not So Scary, I think I was with you, Courtney.
We had that was the night abridged version.
Yeah, because it downpoured, so they couldn't actually show the whole show, but they just did the final number.
And that was my first time seeing it. And even just with the final number, I was freaking out. I was like, it's so good. She's singing. I put a spell on you. I died.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Sanderson sisters brought to life on stage. I mean, it's like you're right there in the film. So I can imagine even with just that one song, it would still have that wow factor.
It was even better when I got to see the full show like 2 weeks later, but that was amazing, even on its own, as you said.
Same reaction. Not quite on the same level of super fandom as you guys. I don't know when I really started following with this movie, but my family has always loved Bette Midler. So yeah, I saw Bette Midler on Broadway in the past year in Hello, Dolly, and when she came out, we had to stop the show for a good 2 minutes just in the opening number for people to stop applauding for her. She didn't even say a word yet. She just walked on stage, and that was it. So I remember I Put a Spell on You being a staple for me every Halloween and revisiting that clip over and over, but not necessarily the whole movie. So that's probably new for me since working in Disney in 2015. So I'm kind of slowly growing into the fandom. And your book, Aaron, really helped. New perspective for sure.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to add that part. So this is how I connected and became friends with Aaron because, of course, I think probably Laughing Place or another fan site had promoted the book before it was available, and my boyfriend knows that I'm obsessed with Hocus Pocus and was kind enough to pre-order the book for me. So got the book, arrived the day that it came out, and I posted about it, and I of course put, "Hello, I want my book. Bonjour, je veux un livre." And I tagged Aaron, and that's how we found each other. I was like, "It's an amazing Hocus Pocus book," and you're like, "Somebody has my book."
Yeah, that is the first tweet or social media post that I can remember seeing, because I think the books had just shipped out. I mean, maybe the day before or the day, it was super fast.
Amazon Prime. They're amazing.
Yeah. And so, I think you were the very first tweet I saw of someone posting a picture of the book and saying, "I have it here." And were there Oreos in that picture? I want to say.
Absolutely. I feel like I've posted twice. Halloween Oreos in this book are now my annual staple.
That's awesome. So we want to get started and dive into this book. But Aaron, I want to ask you first, since talking to you last time on our show, you have lots of Disney classics that you love, particularly in the live action. We talked about our campaign to bring Roger Rabbit back into the forefront of Disney property. But why Hocus Pocus? When you got to write a book, why Hocus Pocus and not another film?
Well, I think first of all, anytime you're writing a book, you want to know that there's an audience there. And I think I definitely had a sense that there was a growing hunger for Hocus Pocus. But really, it's that old adage of write the book that you want to read. And true story, for several Halloween seasons prior to ever working on the book, I had gone in search of one. I mean, just gotten on Amazon or Google and just looked to see if there were any books about Hocus Pocus, and there weren't. And I mean, it was just sort of in my mind, out of my mind. I mean, it never even occurred to me that I would write a book about it. But I just, would have loved for someone to do that. And then I got the opportunity to see the movie on the big screen. This might have been Halloween 2015 during this program that Disney was doing at the time called Disney Screen.
R.I.P.
Which was right. In just a handful of cities around the country in Cinemark theaters, just around the clock, there were Disney films showing classics from the live action animated catalog, deep cuts even, and they were themed week by week. And there was a Halloween themed week, and they showed Hocus Pocus. So, a very then rare opportunity to see the movie on big screen. And I think there's something about when you change perspective physically, it can change perspective mentally at the same time. And so just even though I'd seen that movie, I mean, countless times and knew every word and everything and had, a whole lifetime's worth of thoughts and feelings and emotions about the movie. Just something about seeing it in a different context, in a shared space with other people in a theater and everything magnified on the big screen. Just some things clicked more potently than they had before. And I just walked away with a very strong feeling that, this isn't just a good movie. This is actually a great film. And this growing love that was starting to happen, one thing I always say is that none of us responds to something for no reason. Anytime we love something or we feel drawn to something, it's because there's something resonating in us. There's something that is clicking with us, and it could be an ideology, it could be a memory that's specific to your life. But when that kind of response is happening on a wide scale, then the thing that's resonating is shared. It's cultural or societal. And so I just sort of became obsessed with the idea of, well, what is that? What is it about Hocus Pocus, which already stands out in terms of Disney films as being unusual and kind of weird and scary and just not very Disney-like in a lot of ways. And so what is it about this movie that is connecting with so many people suddenly, years after its release, on a wide scale? And so it was that really just got me so excited and said, this book needs to be written and I'm going to write it.
Well, we are so glad you did. And for any listeners who live near an AMC cinema, I should plug that the film is once again coming to theaters for, I think, just $5. I believe from the 26th through Halloween. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right. And here's what's so great about that. I mean, first, for those who don't know the history of Hocus Pocus, it's a Halloween movie, but it was released in the summer of 1993 up against Jurassic Park. And it flopped pretty badly. And yes, it never got a fair shake at theaters, and most people, for that reason, have never seen it on the big screen. And it is a movie that deserves to be seen on the big screen because it is such a visual feast. I mean, the set design, the art direction, the cinematography, the colors in this film. I mean, it is the spirit of Halloween, a picture painted onto a moving canvas of the essence of Halloween. And so it really is something that you want to not only see visually in the theater, but also experience with other people who have that same, generation's worth of excitement for it.
Okay, I totally got a little lump in my throat when you said that beautiful line about a canvas of Halloween. That was absolutely beautiful.
It's your poster behind me.
It's
inspired
right
me.
There. So I want to talk about the book. It opens with an introduction by actress Thora Birch, who played Danny in the film, one of the main protagonists. I would love to know the process of getting her to write that.
Okay, yeah. First of all, such an honor because I don't know about for you guys. I mean, for me growing up, the name Thora Birch meant something. Like that was a household name as a 90s kid because she, I mean, did you know of Thora Birch or was it just
only Hocus Pocus for me? And I've never seen American Beauty, I'm ashamed to admit.
Oh, American Beauty's so good. But when she was a kid, though, she had this whole run of movies. I mean, they weren't like major hits or anything, but just the kind of thing that, it was on the kid shelf in Blockbuster. So I was all about some Thora Birch films. So anyway, fast forward to I'm working on this book about Hocus Pocus, and I get the idea of, well, wouldn't it be cool to have some of the cast or crew on board? So I just sent out letters to literally everyone, anyone who worked on the film or was in the film who had, contact information that I could find. I sent out letters. Most of them did not get through. They got either, returned in the mail as undeliverable, or they got sent back by an agent. That happened with quite a few of them. The agent just said, we're not passing this along, or whatever the case may be. But I ended up hearing from a few people right away. I thought I wouldn't even hear from one, but Thora Birch got back to me and was interested in being involved in the book. Mick Garris, who was the executive producer and one of the co-writers of the film, he got back to me right away, and Vanessa Shaw, who plays Allison. And all three of them wanted to do a forward. And so I went.
How do you pick?
I know. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you can't have, I've even looked into it. Like, can you have 3 forwards for a book? That's not really a thing. So no. So I actually had it was a good problem to have, but it was a problem. And I was just so honored and floored by it. Anyway, the schedule ended up not working out for Vanessa, but we did have a lot of back and forth email and conversation, and she was just so lovely the whole time. So then it came down to Thora and Mick, and we all talked, and Mick said, well, why don't I do an afterward? And so that left the forward for Thora, and we were just emailing back and forth for a while. And I had actually offered, I said, hey, do you need some help? I can give you some pointers. I can give you some starting points, some talking points to, kind of get this thing going. And she's like, no, I got this. And she just sat down and banged out this beautiful reflection on her experience making the film and sort of living with the legacy of it since then. And I was just blown away by how good it was. I mean, like, I got emotional reading it. It's touching. Like, her passion seems so sincere, and it comes through in this. And she was just so kind to me throughout that whole process. And I mean, she seemed just like genuinely excited to be a part of the book, and I couldn't believe that. So she's wonderful, and I have nothing but just the most wonderful things to say about her.
I think that really shines through in the forward. Like, you can tell how much this movie meant to her, but also the excitement about the book, as you said.
Yeah. And I mean, and I every time I look at the cover of the book and it says Forward by Thora Birch, I'm like, I can't believe that's there. So very cool of her.
So after the book came out, how did other people involved with the film respond? Did you hear from others? What did Thora say after she got to read it?
Yeah, so Thora had gotten to read an advance copy prior to doing the forward, and so had Mick. But then after the book was released, slowly but surely, to this, I have now heard, I think, from every member of the cast and quite a few of the creators and crew members, with the exception of the three witches. I have not heard from Sarah Bent or Kathy Najimy, and I've not been able to get through to them. But everyone else, so Kenny Ortega sent me an email.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I couldn't believe it. And then at the D23 Expo, he came by the booth where I was doing book things. And I wasn't there at the time. I was in a panel for the Golden Girls. I know. But fortunately, he posed for a picture with the book, which was really cool. And I'm just so honored that he came by to find the book. It's so cool. I've heard from Jason Marsden, who's the voice of Thackeray Binks. Actually, just the other day, Tobias Jelinek, who plays Jay in the film, one of the two bullies in the graveyard and at the school, he sent me a message and said, hey, people keep asking me about this book. I'd love to learn more about it. And I thought that was such a trip. So cool. I sent him a signed copy just this past week, actually. But yeah, I think every major member of the cast has reached out and have all first of all, let me say, people write books about movies all the time. I don't think it is common for cast members to take an interest in a movie that they worked on decades ago and then reach out to the author. So it says a lot about not only the quality, the nature of the people who worked on this film, but also I think the family connections that they all have with each other, that they, have cared enough to reach out to me. And many of them have stayed in contact with me. I mean, I text with them, which is a very surreal kind of experience. But I mean, just what amazing people they are to reach out like that. I'm floored by it.
Well, it is very well deserved. So such a great testament to your work. One thing that I noticed for this book has a different publisher than your Disney Parks Thinking fan guides, and you were kind enough to discuss the publishing process of those in episode 6. But I'm curious how it may have differed this time around with a different publisher.
Yeah, I mean, it was so Hocus Pocus and Epcot were both sort of happening at the same time, and there was just a very complex situation going on the publisher/distributor side of things at the time. So Intrepid Traveler, who had published my Magic Kingdom book, Full Stop, as I said, I think the last time we talked, they were very well established in sort of the niche of Disney travel publishing, but they were a relatively small business. And at the head of it were just this lovely married couple, Kelly and Sally Monahan, and they had decided to retire. And initially, they were going to sell the publishing company, and my rights were getting sold along with it. And there was this whole thing where the audiobook rights were getting sold to one people, and the published print rights were getting sold to somebody else. So it was just everything was just very up in the air. And then they ended up deciding to do something different and, transferring the rights back to me, but then working with me to launch sort of a new venture, wherein I would get to have a lot more control over the books. And so anyway, that's how all that came about. So they were still involved with both Epcot and Hocus Pocus. Their team still served as the editors for the book and that sort of thing. But yeah, a lot of boring details. But anyway, I think the process was essentially the same from a distribution perspective, but I will say that this book went much more quickly, in part because it had to be out for Halloween. So there was a very long research period, but then the actual writing of the book happened in about 6 weeks, which was much faster than the other two books.
So mentioning that research period, that's what I'm curious about. Can you share with us a little bit about doing your research for this book, and also how it's different than writing your Thinking Fans guides to Magic Kingdom and Epcot?
Yeah, sure. So it was very intensive research, but very fun. I focused a lot on a few genres of film that I think Hocus Pocus kind of connects to. So the horror genre, the musical genre, the family adventure film, with Disney sort of being a subgenre of its own within that, and then the Christmas film, because one of the things I write about in the movie is that while Hocus Pocus is the definitive family Halloween film, it is structurally and at its core a Christmas film. And I think that's part of why we relate to it, because it sort of treads a well-worn path that we love from movies like Home Alone, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, so on and so forth. And so anyway, I think I read every major work of scholarship that's been written on the horror film genre, just really poured through a lot of books. Some of these resources I had on my own. I spent a lot of time at the University of Central Florida, where I was never a student, but they had this great program where if you're researching on a project and you live in the area, you can get sort of a temporary membership. And so, I was just there all the time pouring through books. So I did a lot of that. I watched the movie probably 100 more times. Lots and lots of screen caps, studying frame by frame, shot by shot, and just really falling in love with the movie over and over again and continually pushing myself to say, why? And that's what I try to do with the theme park attractions too. Why do we love this? Because it's scary. Well, why is it scary? Or why is it funny? Why does it move us? And then, you get to that answer and you say, why again? And you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then I think that's where insight comes from.
I really liked that chapter, examining if it fits as a horror film, because Courtney and I were struggling with that concept last episode with The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, that it's also labeled as a gothic horror, but we weren't so sure if it fit in that genre. But hearing about those different horror characteristics, I think I could even rethink my answers of what we talked about last week with Sleepy Hollow. And I think we even touched on that horror is supernatural can also mean horror. And that's how we made the one connection for Sleepy Hollow. But so it was really cool for me reading this. I was like, oh, there's that connection that Courtney and I were just talking about. And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, there's this fascinating essay. I think it's Noel Carroll, who's one of the sort of horror film scholars. He has this fascinating essay that on the difference between fantasy and horror. And he even talks about witches and when is a witch fantasy and when is a witch horror, and using that framework that he establishes, which is so well laid out, and I share a lot of it in the book. I think Hocus Pocus falls cleanly within the horror genre, and it's just very interesting to think of it that way. Is it a scary movie? If you're a kid, it's scary. Did it scare you guys? It scared me as a kid.
No, I Know What You Did Last Summer when I was like 4, so the bar for scary movies was pretty high. I was like, oh, this is fun. She's singing. It's fine.
Are you traumatized? Are you okay, Courtney?
Oh, yeah, I really am. Like, there's like a guy with a hook for a hand that kind of haunts my dreams still.
I don't think it ever scared me as a kid, but I came to the movie later. But like Snow White, the witch in Snow White used to scare me as a kid. So I think you can relate that way, that you don't necessarily think of Disney as horror, but they have those moments that they keep creeping up on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Steven Spielberg said that the greatest horror sequence in the whole history of film is when the woods come to life and try to kill Snow White, which I love that quote from him. And he's actually talked about it in quite a few interviews. So it seems to have really made an impression on him. But yeah, I just think Hocus Pocus stands out in so many ways. As I said before, it's kind of a kooky film. It has an oddball comedic sensibility. It is much darker than the average family comedy coming out of Disney. I mean, a child dies on screen within the first 10 minutes. You don't usually see that happen in a Disney film.
It's usually the mother.
Yes. And even then, she usually dies off screen. But you actually see this girl dies and they're sucking the life out of her dead body. I mean, it's just a lot for a kid. And then it's also a very sexual movie with all this talk about virginity and yabos and all of that. So just all of these things together, they raise a lot of questions, and so it was fun to answer those.
That leads perfectly into my next question, because I was going to say we're going to get into rated T for teen category here and address the virgin in the room. So it really, you mentioned just like how much, if someone's watching it for the first time who might be older, they're always like, wow, that mentioned virginity a lot. And I asked my mom recently, because remember, I watched this film when I was very young in the early 90s, but then grew to love it. I think I appreciated it then more as an adult for some of that humor that absolutely went over my head. But I was like, Mom, I had to have asked, like, what is a virgin? Because it's a central plot point. She's like, I just told you it was someone who wasn't married. And I was like, all right, fair enough. Holds true. But you raise a really interesting theory about virginity and innocence in the context of the film. So I'll have you summarize that if you can. But I'm really curious, when did you develop this or come to the realization? Like, did you theorize this before you wrote the book or as you started to get deeper into that research?
Honestly, I don't remember when the theory first occurred to me. I do know that well, let me try to briefly summarize the theory for those who don't know, which is that essentially I lay out one possible reading of the film in the book, which is that, the children are trying to suck the lives out of the children of Salem. But it is possible that when they say children, what they really mean is virgin. And so that the life force that they require to stay young and then immortal is actually the life force specifically of virgins. And so Max, whose virginity is made much to do in the film, he is a virgin when he brings them back from the dead. That's how he's able to bring them back. And sort of the theory that I put forth is that possibly about 2/3 of the way through the film, Max might lose his virginity, at least suggestively or symbolically. I certainly don't contend that this happens on screen. It does not. But that, in fact, what has long been a series of sort of plot holes that people have made fun of actually begin to make sense when you read the film this way. But I want to be careful in talking about it here, and I'm very careful in talking about it in the book, and I'd rather just let the text speak for itself because, I get that when you start to talk about sex in a Disney film, there's an instinctive reaction in a lot of people that says, you're trying to scandalize something that's innocent, or, you're reaching too far. And it's just a concept that won't sit well with people. So I knew that. And then I also knew that there would be people who would love that and it would overshadow everything else in the book. So, I don't contend that necessarily the filmmakers intend for us to read that. What I do contend is that the fact that virginity is made such a recurrent focal point in the film invites us as an audience to ask why and to read the film with that in mind. And then I go into a lot of the history of witches in cinema and in literature, and what the way that the term children or innocent has been used to mean virginity throughout the history of literature. I go into the way that in old Hollywood, when they weren't allowed to talk about sex on film, that they would have to imply it with plausible deniability. And I use a lot of specific film examples and then do sort of an A/B comparison between these classic 1940s, 1950s Hollywood films and then what happens in Hocus Pocus to try to show you that actually it is a legitimate way to read a film in the same way that scholars study Hitchcock or Spielberg or what have you. And so anyway, it is it's a potential reading of the film. And I think, Courtney, because you said, did I did I have this theory all along? I don't know when I first came up with it, but I do know that I was a little skeptical of it myself at first. So it was just sort of an idea, and it's like, well, I need to really study the film to see if it can bear out, or is it going to fall apart upon further study? And each time I would walk through the film, I just became more convinced that this is actually a really, really legitimate way to at least think about what might be happening in this story. And I love that. I love being able to walk into a film with multiple perspectives. I think that is the hallmark of great art, when there's more than one way to read it. You just get so much more out of it, more to talk about, more to debate, and that's what art does.
I really liked when you brought up the Hays Code and you started breaking it down. It reminded me of a time, I think it was either when I was in college or maybe late high school, when studying American history, talking about the Hays Code and that very conservative era in U.S. history. A lot of students, myself included, that we started to reevaluate that some movies that we used to watch with our families were like, wait a minute, that happened? That's what that means? And you kind of, like, the blinds were lifted off of some of, like, family classics that you watched with your parents maybe every Christmas, or like you said, those family movies that we love so much. But then you're like, oh my goodness, there's a little bit more there. And once you learn how to read that, it totally changes how you read a film, for sure.
Yeah, and there's a chapter in the book about Hocus Pocus's status as a cult classic, and whether it is in fact a cult classic or whether it's just a classic, period. But one of the things I talk about is this idea of the accidental tourist, which is not my concept, but it's the idea that films become cult classics because people discover them as accidental tourists. You're channel surfing, or you're walking by a shelf at Blockbuster Video and you see a VHS you've never heard of before, and it sort of strikes your fancy, and it's like a 7-year-old film. And you're like, what's this? Okay, I'll rent it. And you take it home. And then there's something weird or surprising or stark in the film. It's a little offbeat, but you respond to it. But because it's a film you haven't heard other people talking about, and because it seems a little unusual, you form a bond with it. You feel like you found something you love that maybe other people don't know about. And then you start to share it with other people, or you discover that other people have made similar accidental discoveries of the same film. And that's how cult fandom is born. And then eventually a cult fandom can grow into a full-fledged fandom. And I think the things we're talking about with Hocus Pocus, like you said, adults watch it and they're like, whoa, I don't remember this, or how is all of this in a Disney film? It's these little surprises that form that bond.
A little off topic, but now that you mentioned that accidental tourist thing, I'm thinking back of the other two cult classics that I love, which are Rocky Horror Picture Show and Clue. And I'm like, literally, Clue, I went into Blockbuster and picked it up off the shelf and like watched it at a slumber party with my friends, and we became obsessed with it. And then Rocky Horror Picture Show just happened to be on TV one Friday night when I was home in high school. And I was like, what is this? And then I made my stepsister watch it. I was like, you have to watch this weird movie. So it really does. And I love hearing people's stories about those.
Yeah. And, I'm just thinking of this for the first time as you're saying that. I have a chapter in the book that discusses Spielberg's involvement in the movie. And it was very nearly directed by Steven Spielberg. Of course, it ended up being directed by Kenny Ortega. I wonder if Spielberg had directed the film and it had met a similar box office fate, right? Had not been all that widely embraced at the time. Would Hocus Pocus today, would it have ever had that kind of phenomenon where it became this cult classic? Because, I mean, more people would have been aware of it just because Spielberg's filmography attracts more study. But, there are movies in Spielberg's filmography that were not well reviewed and they just aren't remembered other than as a footnote in his filmography. But because it was directed by Kenny Ortega, it is brimming with camp. I mean, if you study his oeuvre, if you will, that's one. I think actually Kenny Ortega brings a lot of things to the films he directs, and I go through some of those in the book. But one of those is camp, and specifically high camp, which is like a sophisticated, well shot kind of camp, like camp by a guy who also knows how to make good film, And so that's what he does. And if he hadn't made the film and it weren't so over the top campy, and of course Bette Midler contributes to that too, but I just wonder if it could have had the same life.
Well, I'm glad that it had the life that it does, because if we did not have the pure camp of I Put a Spell on You, that movie would not be the same. That is the peak moment in that film.
And so David Kirshner, who created the story of Hocus Pocus, he was telling it as a story that he made up to his child. It's like a bedtime story. And anyway, he was at the D23 Expo this past year, and he and his wife offered to take me out to dinner that night because he had read the book, and he'd called me a few weeks before that. And it's just, I mean, he's such a sweet guy. But anyway, at that dinner, as he's regaling me with stories about, growing up going to Disneyland and working on the Disney lot and hanging out at Michael Jackson's house and his wild life, or just incredible life that he's had. One of the things he told me is that when he found out that there was going to be a musical sequence in the film, that he was just totally appalled at the notion. And he's just said, like, over my dead body, you're not going to stop my awesome Halloween adventure tale for Bette Midler to sing a song. Like, what are you talking about? And he was opposed to it up until the filming of it. And then there was just sort of a magic, and he's like, oh, I get it now.
You don't stop Bette Midler from singing. You just don't. If she wants to sing, she sings.
And I mean, and she does in almost every film she's ever made. Most of which, by the way, have been for Disney, which is a cool thing. Bette Midler is really a Disney legend. When you look at Touchstone, Hollywood Pictures, and then Disney branded films, and even in the theme parks, the bulk of her career has been for Disney.
And for animated, can't forget Oliver and Company.
She
did it all.
Yeah. Good stuff. So going back into the book, into some of its iconic locations, you talk about the colors and how beautiful and how very New England and fall the whole movie is and on location. But wanting to know, because Courtney and I always contemplate a trip together to Salem, have you been?
I have not been, and I do the same thing. I mean, even this year, I was pretty sure I was going to go in October. It's Halloween time. It's the 25th anniversary of the film, and then one thing led to another. I had some other opportunities pop up for this month, and it just the timing hasn't worked out yet. But I'm dying to do it. There are unofficial Hocus Pocus sightseeing tours in the city. Of course, you can go to a lot of the filming sites yourself, but there are people who offer sort of unofficial tours. I think it would be cool if maybe Disney offered an Adventures by Disney tour, a Salem themed to Hocus Pocus. How great would that be?
So good. Next year, we're all gonna go. We'll get Doug, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Up in Salem.
Let's do it.
Planning it. No, I was going to go this year. It's funny. I've been saying that I'm going to go for the past 3 years, but we're actually going to Disneyland at the end of the month because I was like, I got to see Halloween at Disneyland, and I got to go to Disneyland before Star Wars Land comes. So I chose Disneyland over Salem, but we will get there. Salem will still be there.
Yeah, and they do Halloween up big every year, so.
Oh, I know.
It'd be interesting to take a tour, and then in the back, Aaron can just be fact checking as the tour guide goes.
Aaron's going to be our tour guide. I just decided.
True, we can make our own unofficial tour. But did you see? I think they put the Dennison house up for sale in the last year. I thought I saw that online somewhere that that the house was up for sale and people were I saw that on Facebook somewhere and people were freaking out.
My friend took a picture in front of it and sent it to me when he was there over the summer, but we'll have to find out. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with that house, and one thing that's been cool has been seeing how many other people also grew up obsessed with that house specifically. It's very striking architecture. When I was looking to buy a house of my own, I kept pointing to certain features in houses and being like, that reminds me of the Hocus Pocus house. I want that. But
do you have a picture of your house in your house as a painting like the Dennison family does?
Which is, that's interesting, right? I do have a painting of a house that looks just like the Hocus Pocus house, and I have it for that reason.
That is fair. I just always thought that was funny when you're watching the videos. They just moved. They're still unpacking, but they have a framed painting of their house in the house.
Yeah. Did that come with the house, you wonder?
Right.
I mean, it would make sense. The previous occupants, well, would they want to take a painting of their home out of the home? I don't know. Or did the denizens day one, they commissioned an artist to come do an oil painting of.
We need this right now.
Like our boxes are not unpacked. We're still hanging chandeliers in the kitchen, as you see in that early scene. But the painting of the house has been taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you talked a little bit about the film as a cult classic, and you mentioned it, within the book, and the book was published in 2016. But I feel like just 2 years later, it's grown even more. We now have 31 nights of Halloween on Freeform, not just 13, and I think 26 of them are Hocus Pocus. Is there anything you'd attribute to just like the recent rise in fandom?
Gosh, I don't know, but you're right. I mean, I was reflecting on this earlier today, actually. I mean, it has not been that long since I released the book, but I remember, even then feeling like there was still a case to be made for Hocus Pocus's rising popularity 2 years ago. And now it's like, I don't need to make that case anymore. It's just sort of been made for itself. And part of it's that we're in the 25th anniversary. So there's just a lot more happening this year.
True.
But more than I thought that there was. I mean, just the amount of merchandise that is available this year, both official and fan made. I mean, you could count on a few hands the number of movies ever made. I mean, going back to The Wizard of Oz, there are only a handful of films that have the amount of merchandise officially, being sold on the market for a non-new release. So it's very cool to see Hocus Pocus sort of take its place as one of the best loved and most widely watched films of all time.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen your book featured in different like Hocus Pocus roundups. Like it's not just your book, it's like top 10 merchandise for Hocus Pocus fans. I'm like, there's so much out there in my wallet. Oh no.
Yeah, you're right. It's crazy. I'm really glad that the book came out when it did. I think if I had waited even one more year, there would have been so much more sort of noise to cut through,
Absolutely.
Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I love that the fandom just grows and grows and grows, and that's just great for the movie and its legacy. But I'm just looking back. I mean, I did not know that there would be such a difference between 2016 and 2017 and 2018. Because at the time there wasn't really any of that. I mean, when I released the book, Spirit Halloween had not yet announced any merchandise. Disney had never really done merchandise other than just the one T-shirt that they'd released during the Halloween party. The film still didn't have bonus features on its Blu-ray release. It was a different time 2 years ago.
I was holding out for that Blu-ray. I'm not going to lie. I held on to that DVD I had for years. And I was like, well, I could get the Blu-ray, but it doesn't really have anything new other than a nicer picture. And I was like, they have to do something for the 25th. And I was not disappointed. I now have my digital DVD Blu-ray combo pack.
The whole history of Hocus Pocus on home video is very interesting itself. I mean, it was one of Disney's earlier DVD releases, so I'll give them credit for that. And then every single year, it was in the studio's top 10 selling home video titles, which, I mean, that alone you would think would have clued someone in, like, hey, something's going on here. And yet, it just had the most bare bones, awful looking DVD. I mean, kind of cruddy picture quality because it was early.
The title menu is so bad.
It was so bad.
That's the version I have.
I mean, the special edition era of DVD when Disney was going really crazy with special edition, platinum edition DVDs. I mean, that thing came and went with no new Hocus Pocus releases at all. And every year I was like, surely this year's the year. This thing's selling millions of copies every year. Why would they not put out a new edition? And they didn't. And then finally, its Blu-ray came out. And you're right, the picture quality, amazing. It's one of the best looking Blu-rays in my collection. Fantastically remastered or transferred. But not a single bonus feature, I shouldn't say not single, but not the level of bonus features that it should have had. And so, yeah, as you said, just this year, we finally have sort of a proper anniversary special edition. And yet there are still weird things about that release. I mean, you got it, right? You said you got the new.
Yeah, I did. I got the one at Target that came with like the 30-page booklet.
Yes.
So that was a nice addition.
Yes. And so, Emily, you're still working with the DVD.
Yes. The copy I have, I think, was from probably my DCP days, and we just ordered whatever we could on Amazon that was cheapest because we were working on minimum wage weekly pay. So haven't gone for the anniversary edition yet.
I was going to say you get to still hang out with that menu screen that Courtney mentioned, because I have a fondness for it, because it was just, I watched the movie so much. I was just like always on. But anyway, there are these deleted scenes. Okay, can we talk about that for a minute? There were deleted scenes for Hocus Pocus, and they're kind of famous because they turned up in some of the TV spots for the movie back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, myself included, saw advertisements of like the witches shopping in a grocery store, which seems like an amazing concept. And as a kid, I remember the first time I saw that commercial, and I was like, that was not in the movie. How can I see that? And so, like a lot of people, I've been obsessed with seeing that for years, and this whole lore has grown up around the deleted scenes. So finally, they advertised deleted scenes coming on this year's Blu-ray. And some of them are there, including ones that no one knew existed, which is cool. But to watch them, you have to watch a trivia track that runs throughout the film, and then they just show up as like a little picture-in-picture. Better than nothing, but like if the video's on the Blu-ray, why not make it accessible on its own? And then the two deleted scenes that have been the most obsessed over by fans over the last 25 years are, as I said, the witches shopping in the grocery store and the witches at the pool in the high school. And those two are not included. Like every other deleted scene is there, and not those two. They have a couple of still images from those scenes, but they don't show the video. And we know it exists. It was in the trailer.
Maybe for the 30th anniversary edition.
It might
they're holding out on us.
They're stringing this along as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll get them on the Freeform TV special that's coming later this month.
You're right.
That's true. They do like showing all the deleted scenes. At least they do for the Harry Potter films. They show every deleted scene.
True.
So maybe. We'll keep fingers crossed. All right. So speaking of all the new fandom, what was your reaction thinking back to 2015, the first time you saw the Sanderson sisters on the castle stage?
I giddy, embarrassingly giddy, like a giant, like almost painful kind of grin just automatically on my face. 'Cause, I mean, it wasn't just the thrill of seeing the Sanderson sisters in costume on stage, which is something I had always wanted. Like, why isn't there a meet and greet? Why isn't there a dining experience? Why aren't they in the BoOoOoOok parade? Like, I never understood. So just to see that dream come true was part of it. But then the show was just so good. And the actresses playing the Sanderson sisters were so unbelievably dead on. How did they find?
Courtney and I, when we first saw it, we were like, is that really them? Like, where did Disney find these performers that they are amazing, but they also just completely look the part?
Yeah, look, sound, act, mannerisms, singing voice, everything. So on spot. And I think those same performers were the primary trio for the first couple years of that show. I know they're using different performers now who are still quite good, but that first cast really just, man. Jenica McCleary, I know, was the Bette Midler role in that show, and she has now taken her own Sanderson Sisters show on the road, which is a cool thing. I know, she's playing in New York, I think, coming up, and so she's created this whole musical review. That reminds me, this is a little off topic, but there was in LA, there's this theater company that does unauthorized musical parodies. It's a whole series, and they take sort of like cult classic films and they do an unauthorized musical parody. And so the producers actually reached out to me after the book came out, and I was going to be in LA for the expo. And so they invited me to come to the show. And gosh, her name is escaping me, but the original Tracy Turnblad on Broadway in Hairspray, Melissa.
Oh goodness,
Jeanette
Winokur.
Yeah,
yep, that's it. Thank you. But we all kind of pieced that together. Yeah. So yeah, she played the role of Winifred.
Nice.
And it was just so well done. And so there's just so much of this stuff happening. Like, probably your listeners, whatever city you live in or near, there's probably at the very least a Hocus Pocus outdoor screening or a Hocus Pocus trivia night at a restaurant, or there's a Hocus Pocus drinking game being hosted at a bar. I mean, I get emails
at my house.
Same. But no. They're just happening everywhere, all September and October, all around the world. It's a very cool thing.
Yeah, I feel like whoever wrote the Villain Spectacular really was a fan of the film because they bring in Disney characters and blend it so seamlessly, but all of the little lines, like that movie is so quotable, as we did within our little intro there. Just all the little nods, you're like, oh, I see what you did there. I remember seeing it with my best friend Betsy, who I said we watched it all together in college. Like, we're the type of people we'd watching it with homework, but then you'd say the line along with the film when it pops up. So those little like gotcha moments, we'd like look at each other and smile just because it's like, oh, so well done.
No, you're so right.
I remember the crowd when Sarah's character starts saying amuck, 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 amuck. Like the whole crowd was just so happy.
Oh, and the first time, the reaction when she says there's heck to pay instead of hell, and everyone's like boo, but like in jest and all, and she totally, the Winifred character, owned it and like kind of smirked and winked like, yeah, I know what I did right here.
Yeah, my favorite is when the three of them first appear on stage at the top of that show. I've been there on nights where the crowd reacts one of two ways, and I don't know what makes the difference between one night to the next, but there's either like an audible gasp, like almost like frightened or taken like, oh, which I love hearing that many people gasp like that in unison when they walk out, or there's just like explosive, loving cheering.
Like a rock concert.
Like a rock concert, exactly. And I get a little chill every time because, I mean, it's just so apparent the love and popularity that the film has now in that reaction.
I will be there at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party on Halloween night this year, so I can't wait to see it.
Is that your third time going this?
It'll be my fourth.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I just really like Halloween, and people come to visit me, and so I say, let's go to the Halloween party. So we will have friends in town, and we're going for Halloween this year. So I can't wait for them to be like, it's been 25 years down to the day, and I'll be like, it is the day, and I'm gonna freak out.
Oh yeah, there should be like a national holiday for that, for the 25th anniversary of the Salem Hocus Pocus Halloween of 1993.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They should
throw a party in Salem at that town hall, and they're going to dance till 5 a.m.
That's a great point. Salem does need to do a little more for Hocus Pocus proper, and I know there are some rights issues, but what'd you say?
I said, step it up, Salem.
Step it up. I was going to say we should mention, Courtney, since you're talking about your myriad Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party experiences, that we were on the Mad Chatters together, the Mad Chatters podcast recently, and you were reviewing all of the amazing snacks and desserts that
if you haven't listened to it, I ate like 15 snacks in one night with my boyfriend, and I reviewed them all from the best to the not so best.
Yeah, you have nothing left to try, right?
The only thing we didn't do was the Munster Smash Burger because my boyfriend doesn't eat red meat, so we're like, we'll skip it. It's fine. We're eating a bunch of other stuff. But the Hades nachos were good. Those were chicken. So
this can be like a greatest hits tour this time. You can go back to your favorites.
Yes, back to my favorites.
So if you could add a Hocus Pocus treat to the lineup, what would be the Hocus Pocus snack?
I know what I want. I want a brownie, and the top of the brownie looks like Winifred's book.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I thought you were going to say her hair. But no, the book too.
Her hair. Just a lot of icing, like in 2 orange.
No, you're right. The brownie would be a book, but then I can see a cupcake with her hair.
Oh yes.
Yeah, for sure.
No, 3 cupcakes you have to do Mary's hair, because that is just like a cupcake swirl on the top of her head.
Why isn't this happening?
There are so many cupcakes, missed cupcake opportunities.
You could do Mary as a cupcake, but the Maleficent cone that you showed with the horns, you could make that Winifred's hair. Her hair goes up like that, like horns.
And it's green.
Could make
honestly,
her
if you're listening and you're going to the party, the Maleficent waffle cone, which is available just at Disney in October, and for the parties was my favorite treat. But make it Winifred, and then it's even more. It's like in the upper echelon of treats.
You know what? Let's go and bring some frosting in a Ziploc bag and just like pipe onto the cupcake ourselves.
You gotta get it through security first, but
it's frosting. It's fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a glass jar, you should be okay.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of Hocus Pocus things that need to come to the theme parks, everyone wants a Haunted Mansion holiday at Magic Kingdom, I too want a Haunted Mansion holiday, which in Disneyland is a Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. But I think they've got that, right? And Tokyo has that. So in Magic Kingdom, it should be a Hocus Pocus overlay.
Yes, I'm picturing the stretching room portraits. The 3 are the witches, and the 1 is just the house, because we like to have portraits of the house.
Or when he...
the house.
Yes, exactly. Or there could be like portraits of the mansion all throughout the mansion. It would be very meta. But when he says "There's always my way," and you look up, and it could be like the 3 of them hanging at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That'd be a good connection to start it off. And then in the graveyard, instead of singing Grim Grinning Ghosts, they sing "I Put a Spell on You," and you just leave singing that.
Yes.
I love it.
God, it's perfect.
Disney, make it happen. Listen to our podcast.
We are giving them some golden material to work with for next year's Halloween party.
I mean, they stepped up this year's from what I've seen. I haven't had the opportunity to go. But from your reviews and seeing stuff from both of your stories and tweets, it seems like they've really stepped it up this year. So I am curious to see, like, what do they do next year to top it?
Come back and visit me, but in 2020, because in 2019 we're going to Salem.
Yeah.
True. 2019 Salem trip. It's happening. All right. So Aaron, as always on our podcast, we talk about other resources, and luckily in your book, you have a whole chapter on Watch This, other resources. So what are some other things that if you are a Hocus Pocus fan that you should dive into?
Gosh, there are so many different ways to answer that. You mentioned, Emily, that you said your family, I guess you two are big Bette Midler fans.
Yeah. First Wives Club was a staple of my growing up Saturday movie watching lineup.
Okay, it is so good. I've honestly thought about a book on First Wives Club. I don't think the audience is big enough, but I would totally write that because I love that movie so much.
I will read it. I'll be the Courtney that tweets it out, the first person that has the book.
It has a little bit of a Hocus Pocus connection, though, because you'll have to remind me if this is in the book. I know it was in a draft, and I can't remember if it's in that box. It is?
Well,
okay.
It's in my copy. We said I might have like a weird copy.
you have like the very first printing.
Watch This, it's on the second to last page of the Watch This chapter.
Okay,
First
cool.
Wives Club.
So Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker are both also in First Wives Club, and they share scenes together. And then Kathy Najimy, unfortunately, is not in that movie, but Dame Maggie Smith is. Mm-hmm. And Dame Maggie Smith is in Sister Act with Kathy Najimy and Sister Act 2, and Kathy Najimy filmed Hocus Pocus, like just squeezed right in between her filming sessions for Sister Act 1 and 2. So that's a good little like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon shortcut to remember.
Feels like an IMDb trivia page.
Yeah,
just like
absolutely.
One of those blocks.
Hocus Pocus, Sister Act, and the First Wives Club. Honestly, I like to play 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon just so that I can get to one of those 3 movies. It's really like 6 degrees of Bette Midler for me, and I just always get there and then use those 3 movies to solve whatever it is.
I do have to give you kudos for putting Mr. Boogedy in here, and that is on behalf of my boyfriend Doug, because that is his Hocus Pocus Halloween child movie. I grew up with Halloween Town, but Doug had Mr. Boogedy, and we fight over it every year. We own both of them, Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, and Mr. Boogedy. And he's like, Mr. Boogedy's the best. And like, it does not hold a black flame candle to my favorite film.
Do you like Mr. Boogedy, though?
Doug's gonna listen to this. I find it a little.
I can be the tiebreaker. I've never seen it, so I can watch it and I'll be the tiebreaker.
Okay, but do you like Bride of Boogedy or Mr. Boogedy better?
I grew up watching both of them, and I had to run and hide behind the fireplace as a kid. That's how scared I was of these. For those who don't know,
a creepy face.
He's creepy. It was super low budget, and it is very corny and very 80s. These were made for TV Halloween specials that Disney made in, I was like, the late 80s, right?
Yeah, it's 86.
And anyway, for years and years and years, they were unavailable across all formats. And they kind of stopped showing them on TV. And at one point, I think Song of the South was Disney's most requested home video title. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Mr. Boogedy was their second most requested.
Wow.
That's, again, it was this sort of accidental tourist impact that it had on kids and people who've come across it since then, because it is just a very weird, creepy kind of TV special. Anyway, the two of them are now available on iTunes as digital rentals or purchase for very cheap. So if anyone's
we bought them.
curious, there you go. And the film quality is okay. I mean, for a digital release, it's not bad. And so if anybody's even just curious, like even if you don't like the movie, I just think it can be appreciated as a sort of historical anomaly for Disney. So definitely watch those. And that's why it had to be mentioned as a watch this. Emily, I was going to ask what you do you have any other Bette Midler favorites? You mentioned First Wives Club.
Oh, goodness. What is everything that she's been in? Because now I'm going to draw a blank.
I know one of the ones I mentioned was Big Business.
I like that one.
Yeah, Big Business is good. I think First Wives Club is the one I watch the most in my house. And my mom and I will just start singing You Don't Own Me as we're like cleaning and doing stuff around the house.
Another instance of Bette breaking out in a song in a movie that's not otherwise a musical.
Does she sing in Down and Out in Beverly Hills? I don't think she sings in that one, but I've only seen it once.
No, and actually, Bette's R-rated movies, she does not tend to sing in as much, with the exception of, I'm just realizing this now, with the exception of The Rose. I don't think she sings a lot in her R-rated movies. It's more the like PG-13 where she just can't hold it back.
Gotta give it up for Beaches.
Beaches, yes. Also Disney. Mm-hmm. She covers Baby Mine from Dumbo on the soundtrack to Beaches.
Oh, I gotta revisit that.
So many connections.
Yeah, it has been a while. For some of these. Oh, yeah, she was also in Fantasia 2000. Wasn't she one of the presenters?
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
But we have to say, with all of the Bette roles, you do talk about this. She has said explicitly that Hocus Pocus is her favorite role that she's played, which I love.
Yeah, she says it more and more with each passing year. And here's the thing. I think that Bette is beginning to realize that, not that this is happening anytime soon, but, generations from now, long after her time, our time, even though she's been in a lot of very successful films that have been well reviewed, and even though she's had a very successful music and comedy career, the thing that will get played year after year and introduced to generations after generations will be Hocus Pocus. It will be the thing that she's remembered for. I suspect she's starting to realize that. You're seeing her incorporate it. You mentioned, Emily, you got to see her live. I didn't get to see her on Broadway in Hello Dolly. I'm so jealous that you got to see that. But I saw her concert tour, and her most recent tour, and she performed I Put a Spell on You live for the first time there.
That's awesome.
In full Winifred garb, and they had the house, like they had the whole set up there, and she had the cauldron, and it was a whole thing. And so I love that that's happening, and my hope is that going forward, she will really lean into it and contribute all that she can to the legacy of Hocus Pocus. And hopefully Disney will give her a chance to be in a sequel too.
Well, we are the generation that loves nostalgia, and we just keep pushing it. So hopefully it'll come through.
Okay, hold on. Can we talk about sequels for a moment? Because you raised it in the book, like, is there going to be one? And now I believe they've said something's coming to the Disney Channel, but it seems kind of like not a thing to the original. I didn't think they're, as much as I love Hocus Pocus, I was in the camp that you mentioned in the book that's like, we don't need a sequel, don't touch it. Like, it is fine on its own, but I will still absolutely watch it when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, the desire that people have for a sequel is just, I loved spending time in this world. I'd love to spend more time in this world. And, that makes sense. But then the fear is always, well, what if the more time we spend there isn't great quality time? And that is usually the case with a sequel. Like most sequels aren't great. And so, but then sometimes they're wonderful and they knock it out of the park.
Bride of Boogedy's better than Mr. Boogedy.
There you go. I don't know, Emily, which camp are you in?
I think I'm also kind of in the don't touch it camp, but I'm in the don't touch it, like don't remake it it needs to be, I think you talked about the many different forms that a sequel can take, that it can be a prequel, it can be something that's just a connection, like Sleepless in Seattle, where it kind of jumps off. I would be totally fine with any of those, but definitely don't do a remake.
Yeah, that is my preferred approach. You mentioned like some of these films that aren't quite remakes, they aren't quite sequels, but they're like spiritual successors, I call them. Sleepless in Seattle, bridging off of An Affair to Remember. The movie Rumor Has It, bridging off of The Graduate. Where these characters are sort of extension of those characters, but they're also aware of the existence of the film within their own diegetic universe. I would love to see something like that happen with Hocus Pocus. Tina Fey at one point was rumored to be involved with a project like that. The last time someone asked her, she said, yeah, I'm making a witch movie and it's not about Hocus Pocus. And then no one has followed up with Tina Fey about what that little tease meant. So
Tina, what you doing?
I know. But there is a Hocus Pocus sequel this year in the book.
Yeah.
Did I detect an eye roll there, Courtney?
I haven't. We were talking about doing it, but I was like, I don't want to overdo it. We got to save stuff for next Halloween.
Yes. Okay. Well, then let's.
So, you know what? We're going to have you back next Halloween as a guest reader, so we can all just have an actual book discussion rather than us throwing all these questions at you. I think that would be fun.
That would be
about the sequel, though. So no, I haven't. I'm on the wait list for it at the library because I am curious. But I'm like,
it has been popular. I've seen lots of people posting about it, getting their hands on a copy.
There's a long wait list at the library for my ebook.
Mm-hmm. There are things to be said about it. So yeah, well, there's a whole episode's worth. So
you've read it, Aaron?
I have. Yeah. The first half of the book is just a retelling of the film.
Like a film novelization.
Yes. Which there was already one of those in 1993, which is out of print, but you can find it on eBay. And what's cool about that is it is adapted from an earlier version of the script. So the story is very different.
Find that.
Yeah.
We have annual Hocus Pocus episodes now. That'll be 2020.
Oh my gosh, yes. I didn't even think about that you could do an episode on the original novelization. Yes. Okay, then I won't talk about what's in that book. We'll save that for an episode 2.
Okay.
That's awesome. I didn't know that they did a novelization right after the release of the original movie in 93.
Yeah, that's something we haven't tackled yet is, like movie to book novelization. So we have a few of those on our list for the future, possibly.
Yeah, and this one's super short. Like the 1993 novelization was like a young adults novel, so it's very short.
No, I think like most of them are.
Yeah. This new one is longer, but still, I think I would call it young adults.
All right,
interesting.
T for teen.
Please rate this episode that on iTunes.
Oh, I absolutely am. I usually rate it as like clean or whatever, but it is T for teen this time because there are Yabos and Black Flame candle lighting versions.
Mm-hmm. It is definitely, yeah. I've never really, I think before Aaron, your book, like obviously we see those themes, but I never really thought about it before. So truly a thinking fan's guide. It makes you think. It really did. At least for me. I haven't analyzed it that thoroughly before.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I devoured it in like less than 24 hours each time. I feel like I've done that for all of your books. Like I text you that I'm reading it and then I'm like, I finished.
I'm like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah, I read fast.
That's so awesome. Yeah, this seems to be one that people people tell me I was starting it and then they finished it very soon after. It's so nice of you guys both to say that. One of the really cool things has been getting emails from people. I mean, not just about Hocus Pocus, but people who've written in and said like, hey, I've never really thought about movies this way in general, or never even occurred to me that one would think about movies this way. And so those are some of my favorite emails to get from readers, from people who just say like some of the core film concepts discussed as like groundwork in this book have led them to either start studying film more closely or just some people have even said, I'm not totally sold on thinking about film this way, but I find it in the back of my mind as I watch movies now. And like, to me as a movie geek, that's just been the coolest thing.
Reading your book, your film background of study definitely came through. We saw it a little bit in Thinking Fan's Guide, but this one, I definitely saw all your filmography and your study that you talked about in our last episode. Definitely was there.
Oh, good. I'm glad because it's just geeking out really.
Yeah, you can tell from your writing that you thoroughly enjoyed writing this book and expressing these ideas.
Honestly, it was so much fun to write. Like I was thinking earlier back to that time period because I mentioned it was about 6 weeks of writing. So it was all I did, like around the clock. It was just Hocus Pocus. And man, it was a little nerve wracking at the time. And, just anytime you're working on a new project, there's this just kind of like you're climbing up a mountain. It's like, oh, I'm never going to get to the top. But looking back, it was really fun. I feel nostalgic just for the writing process. I mean, who doesn't want to just spend 6 weeks on Hocus Pocus, right? It was great.
Well, we're fortunate enough to just spend about 60 minutes on it, so thank you.
Oh, look at that little wrap-up segue. You were good with the segues, I have to say.
Thank you. I take a lot of pride in it.
I mean, you both are, and it's one of my favorite things about
she takes the cake for sure. She's definitely got the segues down a little bit better. But I do have a wrap-up question for you. So with Thinking Fans Guide to Magic Kingdom and Epcot, we've talked about how you've had to go back and do second editions because it's constantly changing. Well, with this, the movie is not changing, but where do you see a future of this book going?
I mean, you would think that writing about a movie that's 25 years old, you would not have the problem of needing to update it. And yet, as we've talked about in this episode, so much has happened with this movie since it came out. Fortunately, the overwhelming majority of the book would not change as a result of what's happened in the last couple of years. But there is this section at the end that talks about the film's legacy and then, the prospects for a sequel. And so I do think there's an opportunity to revisit that. For instance, I won't get into it because we're going to have an episode on it next year, but where I talk about what a sequel could be, I feel like this new book shows maybe what a sequel could be or should not be. And so there's just a lot. It's Caesar. So there's just a lot of discussion that could be had there. And then the other thing is you mentioned like what a new edition might look like. First of all, I don't know that there will be a new edition. I really have no idea. But a couple of those cast and crew members I mentioned who've reached out have expressed interest in contributing in some way if there ever is a new edition. So again, I don't know if it'll happen or when or what that would look like, but the fact that there are people who actually starred in the movie who are asking me like, hey, can we add something to this, makes me want to find a way for that to happen.
Very cool.
It is. It's very, it's cool to me. I'm like, I grew up watching you guys on the screen for 25 years and now you're on my iPhone. It's crazy.
Didn't even have iPhones back in 1993.
You did not. And the story would not have worked so well if they did. As is the case with most pre-cell phone film stories. There's like a whole different type of storytelling because everything would get solved with a cell phone.
Can you imagine Winifred getting her hand on a cell phone in a sequel?
I know. Well,
her spell book is an ebook.
Stay tuned next year and we might have a discussion about that.
She knows what a driver's permit is, though. So
yeah.
She probably would know what a cell phone is already.
Imagine what she can get her hands on with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
How many other spell books are out there?
Spell ebooks.
Spell ebooks. Exactly.
It's my spell Kindle.
Oh my gosh.
Kindle doesn't have the same ring to it.
I guarantee you, what you just did with Kindle with the book voice, I can so see that happening in the film as like a throwaway joke.
Done. Taking the rights to it. We couldn't get through without me doing that. I've done that reference on like almost every episode. Hocus Pocus. It's just my talent, I guess. Questionable talent.
All right, so Courtney, now that we've kind of wrapped up, where are we going next episode?
All right, well, next episode will actually be early November because, as I said, I am heading to Disneyland at the end of the month, so this will get you through Halloween and you have time to celebrate it. But after that, in early November, we are looking forward to celebrating Mickey Mouse's 90th birthday. Life magazine recently published a special edition, Mickey Mouse at 90, Life Celebrates an American Icon, and that's available online and likely at some of your local retailers like the grocery store. So we'll be discussing the magazine magazine and the big cheese himself, and we can't wait to see you real soon for that episode. But if you want to see any of us any sooner than that, be sure to connect with us on social media. Emily, where can we find you, and do you want to tell them about Book of the Mouse Club online?
All right, so you can find us, Book of the Mouse Club, on both Twitter and Instagram at Book of the Mouse. And then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Emily_McD.
If you want to follow along with my Disneyland adventures, because I am sure to post a lot there, as I am sure to post pretty much every day, I am at Courtney_Guth on Twitter and at GreatGuthsby on Instagram. And Aaron, where can we find you and this wonderful book that we enjoyed discussing?
Well, on social media, you can find me on Twitter. It's just at Aaron Wallace, AARON. On Instagram, I'm AWAL, not AWOL. So AWOL like my name, AWALL, not AWOL like absent without leave. It's a thinker. You got to think. And then my website, AaronWallaceOnline.com, and you can find signed copies of the book there, or you can just get it on Amazon or order it through your bookstore pretty much anywhere.
Awesome. Well, will you do the honors in taking us out with a closing quote once again this time?
I would be delighted to. I thought of like a few different quotes, and so I've been thinking this whole time, which one do I want to close with? I think I'm going to close with a quote from Gary Marshall, who actually he passed away during the writing of this book. So he appears in the dedication, and he plays the master, aka the devil, in Hocus Pocus. And on this new Blu-ray release, in the bonus features, there's a clip of him talking during the shooting of the film. And he just said, you can see he's loving being on set. And of course, he went way back with Bet. They had made Beaches together. He'd worked with Kathy Najimy before. He was working with his sister as an actor for the first time in decades. So you could just tell he was like having the time of his life. And he very enthusiastically says, this is show business at its best. And yeah, I mean, he knows show business. And I think what he means by that is he's just looking around at like the scale of the sets and the art direction, as I said earlier, and the whole production design. And it looks the part of show business. We talked about the camp. Bette Midler is, quite the sort of old guard flavor of show business, like a throwback to the olden ways of entertaining. And so anyway, just all of it comes together, and it makes me think of like classic showbiz, the kind that I think would make Walt Disney proud. I don't know how he'd feel about virgins and all that, but I think the showmanship of Hocus Pocus would make him proud. So anyway, that's my long-winded answer for why I chose that quote.
Well, I agree. This is show business at its best, and your book is film critical analysis at its best. So thank you.
Yes, thanks, Aaron, for coming back on.
Thank you for having me, guys. This discussion was so much fun, and it's just fun to geek out about Halloween with you and your listeners. So thank you.
Well, we'll do it again next year and the year after that, because we have more Hocus Pocus in store then. Thanks, guys. Bye.
See you real soon.
Happy Halloween. Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Book of the Mouse Club has no affiliation with the Walt Disney Company. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and participants are theirs and theirs alone. They do not represent the organizations or companies they happen to work for.